still spooked?
I wasn't spooked.
Lies.
I wasn't. Saw somebody standing in Mr. Riddle's backyard.
Probably Mr. Riddle.
He's watching me.
Mr. Riddle was watching you? Lori, Mr. Riddle is 87.
He can still watch.
It's probably all he can do.
Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Haidt.
And I'm Chelsea Duff.
And today's a big day, baby. You might not know it. You might think, oh, it's April. It's springtime. The flowers are blooming. The bees are buzzing, blah, 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 blah. No, it's actually the official start of spooky season. As far as Spooky Tuesday, if Spooky Tuesday has anything to say about it, this is the official start to spooky season. And that's because it's Halloween's half birthday. Not today, but like in a couple of days. So, just go with it.
You got 6 months off, and now we're doing 6 months full head on spooky. You can't see it if you are just listening to this, but we are all dressed up in our spookiest attire.
Oh, yeah. I got my jack-o'-lantern earrings on, my Spirit Halloween shirt. Sydney, what are you wearing?
I'm in a glow-in-the-dark
Ooh.
Ouija sweatshirt, and I am wearing my beanie because even though it is April, it's still a little cold.
And don't forget to mention that sweatshirt has thumb holes because that's the most important part of it. It has thumb holes.
Extremely important. Can we hit the lights? Can we see that glow in the dark in action?
Oh, is it charged?
I don't know.
Does it need to charge? Is that a sweatshirts need to charge?
If it glows in the dark. Oh, it's working. Kind of.
Or
Or maybe
is she
it's
in
the
the light of her
reflection.
computer screen?
No, look,
Well,
it's working. It's working. Wow, this is going to go really well over audio of a podcast. It's incredible. It's dark on the screen. You see nothing except for the outline of the Ouija board. Chelsea, what are you wearing today for the half birthday of Halloween? This is now a fashion podcast.
yeah. This is a style podcast. I'm wearing the custom Valentino Halloween collection.
Made out of entirely scuba.
Yeah, made out of entirely scuba material. Our OG spooky crew back in the day saw one Instagram ad and immediately committed to buy sweatshirts for some reason.
It was 2020 and everyone was doing some questionable online shopping. Okay.
Look,
so I'm going to let it slide for us.
we were all at home. We were all bored. We all hadn't gone out to dinner for a long time.
We all needed some kind of joy. Okay.
We needed a little present for ourselves.
We bought the $10 sweatshirt that shipped from China and took 1.5 months to arrive.
It truly took so long and the material sucks, but it's got a pumpkin on it and it's got a moon. And some of my friends also have it so we can do a matching moment. And that's what
amazing.
matters.
We can only wear it in a highly ventilated area because otherwise.
I did have to turn on my air conditioning. Yeah.
But anyway, it's Halloween's half birthday. And so, you got to go full speed ahead, full throttle for the next 6 months, full throttle.
Yes.
So I don't know if you knew that you had to do that, but you do have to do it. And why not start it off with the titular? I don't know if I'm using the right name.
I say
The name titular. Yeah. Did you know that Halloween, the holiday, was named after this 1978 film?
It makes sense.
That's how it worked. But this week on Spooky Tuesday, we're finally doing it. We're finally stepping into Michael Myers' shoes, and we are doing the OG Halloween from 1978. And wow, what an experience. I'm very excited. Haters come at us. We've been scared to do Halloween because people are very intense about Halloween. And about Mike Myers, as I call him.
Mikey baby.
Yeah. But in case you have just been born and then your mommy or daddy put headphones in your ears to make you listen to Spooky Tuesday, it's the first words you ever hear.
Parents should,
yeah.
And
so you never
on your pregnant belly is what you should be doing. They should be listening in the
womb. Okay, hi baby in the belly.
And then it's just the Halloween theme song.
If you are a baby and you haven't been born yet, so you don't know what Halloween is about, let me break it down for you. 15 years after murdering his sister on Halloween night in 1963, Michael Myers escapes from a mental hospital and returns to the small town of Haddonfield, Illinois, to kill again. What a great first thing to hear. Honestly, that child was lucky.
Okay, here's the thing too. If you are looking for like cool behind the scenes educational like history facts about Halloween, this is not the episode, baby.
That's been done, honey.
Here's the thing. There is an incredible Halloween podcast called Halloween Unmasked on The Ringer with Amy Nicholson.
Ooh, hell yeah.
Go listen to that if you want cool educational stuff. Here you are getting three beautiful idiots talking about a really good movie.
I read some articles.
I read some articles too.
I read no articles.
You guys both rewatched the movie today. I could not bring myself to do it, which I'm going to get into in a moment. But I was like, okay, if I'm not going to rewatch it, let me like use my time wisely. And I did go searching, and reading the articles gave me a better appreciation for the movie than I think that I could get just watching it on my own. Because to launch in, I had never seen the 1978 Halloween until we watched it with our OG Spooky crew, I think in like roughly fall 2020, or maybe some other point in 2020. But obviously I exist in this world and have watched horror movies. So like I was already super saturated with information about Michael Myers and like what his deal is and like what happens I already knew everything basically. And so I think that made it super hard to appreciate the movie for what it was, because so much of what makes the movie special is like the slow, tense moments and like the reveals. And I was reading this article from movieweb.com by writer Anthony Lund. And he was talking about like the slow reveal of even like Michael's mask and stuff like that. Like how long it takes to even get that much.
Yeah.
Like, you're just getting a little arm. You're just getting a little sliver of his body other than when he's like little in the beginning. Like it takes so long to even show you what Michael Myers looks like in any capacity in the movie, and then all you're getting is like jumpsuit and mask. But even that reveal is like such a slow burn, and I obviously already knew what he looked like, and so like that never even registered that you don't see him for so long, and then you're only getting like glimpses and hints, because I was like, well, there he is, that's Michael, I've seen him a million times.
That's him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like when you think of horror, you think of Michael Myers, like you just do, because he's like the face of horror. He is, like it or not. That's the face. That mask is so ubiquitous. You've seen it 10 trillion times. And like Chelsea, I hadn't seen this movie. I didn't see it as a kid. It wasn't the first horror movie I ever saw. Like
Unlike
it was for
me.
Sydney.
This is my
That's your entry point.
Villain origin story right here. Is this movie. The theme song is still my ringtone on my phone. So like if you call me, it plays the Halloween theme song.
That's fucking awesome. The song fucking slaps. All the songs slap. The whole thing slaps. But like, I don't know. For me, I just didn't feel like connected to the scariness of Michael Myers. Like, I don't know the first time I ever saw this, but now I feel like I've seen it maybe 5 times over the course of my entire life. And I feel like on this last watch, I finally like got the vibe, because I like left the like what I know about the movies behind and just watched it for a movie, like without the whole, I mean, it's impossible to do that, but I tried to. And I also wasn't like fully zoned in when I was watching it, and for some reason that like unlocked a place in my brain where I could be like, I'm meeting Michael Myers for the first time. But like it's actually a really brilliant movie in the way that it like creates this like creeping like anxiety. Like I like movies that do that. We just did Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which is like a master class in creating anxiety, and this movie does an incredible job of that too. Like I wrote in my notes in all caps, did Halloween create the concept of edging? Because it's basically like edging you the entire time, like, oh, something scary is going to happen, something spooky is going to happen, it's getting spookier, but nothing has actually happened except for the beginning someone dies immediately, and then the spookiness
Somebody's dead in the
it's like
first
100
5
and then
minutes
boom
of this movie.
Mhm.
Yeah.
but it's like just like creeping you along, and I don't know. It's
Totally.
really, really good. But the first time I ever saw it, I don't even remember that. But when I really paid attention and saw it again, I was like, okay, cool. I don't think that Halloween is for me. Um, but I don't know. I'm willing to reconsider now. And I also would like to say, just from the jump, I have not seen any other Halloween movie except for this one and the 2018 Halloween. Just want to
Yeah.
make that clear.
Those are the
So,
only two that I've seen too.
yeah.
That's so interesting because I've only seen this one. And you're right. That's kind of what I was telling myself earlier today. Like I was a little nervous that we were doing Halloween because it is such a huge franchise and like people love Michael Myers so much. And it was so iconic and like transformative in the horror landscape. Like even though it's not really a slasher per se because the kills are like not gory and not necessarily the focal point, um it is credited as being like the first slasher and like starting the slasher genre in a way, especially
It's
with
not
all
the
the
first
holiday
slasher.
movies that
That's
What
Black
is,
Christmas.
but this is considered like what kicked off the slasher.
Oh, got the buzz
genre.
going.
Like,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
fair.
Black
Totally
Christmas
fair.
technically is because it did it 4 years before this came out.
and
Yeah.
it did the holiday thing too.
It did the
Yeah.
holiday. It got it. But this really like set everything off because we got
It exploded.
Friday the 13th, which is almost like an exact carbon copy of this movie. Like
Mhm.
it really
It
launched.
got the people going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's provocative.
It's provocative. But yeah, I mean, while I knew that it was like legendary in the horror field, and in the genre, and was like obviously such a huge moment, and I knew like all the iconic things, like obviously the music speaks for itself, and that's I would say like the most magical part of the movie. But I also was just like I didn't connect with it, and I was like, it's not for me. Maybe I'm just not a Halloween girly. Like not all art has to be targeted for me personally, Chelsea Duff. It's okay for things to be for other people. I know that might be a shocking thing to hear me admit.
She's
but
finally coming to terms with it.
look, am I the most important woman in the world? Yes, but it's okay to share the spotlight.
Like, are you the most important woman in the world? Yes.
Yes,
Does
obviously.
everything have to be for you? No.
I'm
both things can be
expecting
true.
I can share. Yeah.
And be
Generous.
the truth at the
She's
same time. It's
so
called duality.
Halloween girlies, you're welcome.
This is the duality of man.
Yeah, exactly. But then as I was reading the articles, I was like connecting with it more, like I was saying, and I think I'm very excited to one day find or create an opportunity to watch Halloween like in a crowd, maybe on a big screen, either in a theater or to like
Ooh,
in some sort of
Synestia.
outdoor, yeah, exactly, like
yeah.
outdoor cemetery screening kind of thing, or even just like a park, you know what I mean? But I think with the right atmosphere, I would 100% like zone in, and it would be really incredible to watch because you're right, it 100% has that like buzzing slow burn, even just in the beginning.
The beginning is brilliant.
Yes, but that aside, even just in the beginning when Lori's like walking out of her house talking to her dad and then like walking down the street, when you have the iconic theme music in that moment, she like bumps into Tommy and is chatting about babysitting later, and it's like very loud over that part. It's like cluing you in, like this is gonna be bad, like shit's gonna hit the fan, this is gonna be sinister and scary, and then it like fades away as they approach the Myers house to give it like the appropriate like silent, what's gonna happen kind of tense atmosphere in that too. Like it's a very well put together film.
This movie would be nothing if it wasn't for the soundtrack.
Oh,
Mhm.
100%.
Like
It's I couldn't agree more. The mixture between the soundtrack and then the places where they don't have the soundtrack are
Yeah.
so brilliant. Like there's points where like one, I watched this with subtitles today and I hadn't before. And whenever like something crazy happens, obviously the music comes in, starts blaring, and it says abrupt synths. And it made me die.
They are
It's
abrupt.
true. They are abrupt and they're very, very scary and they're very effective. But like if you're not hearing that incredible synth music, the theme and all of that, and its many different iterations, you're hearing his breathing, and that's like a
Yes.
form of the music too, and it's so spooky. Oh god, like that there was the moment, I think, oh, what's his name, Bill, Linda's boyfriend, what's his name, Bill,
Bob feels right, maybe.
Bob. It's Bob.
Bob. Okay, so Bob's death, R.I.P. Bob, hot, sorry Bob. But
Bob's death or Bob? Which one was hotter?
both were pretty hot in their own special way. You get the little foot shot right after he gets stabbed. Also, why is it a one? Like, sorry to jump all around, but welcome to Spooky Tuesday. Why is he a one and done? He gets stabbed one time, it's over. And his toes are the main part that it's like his body shutting down and his toes are like
Here's the thing.
powering off.
That scene is incredibly homoerotic and I want to talk about it later.
Ooh, okay. But that's the part where I've like really noticed the breathing like was so brilliant, because like the music is playing and then he gets down into the kitchen and then he notices the doors open. And then like the music isn't there anymore and you hear the breathing, and I didn't notice it at first. So you hear the breathing and that's how you know it's like, oh, who's fucking with me? And then like it's Michael Myers and then he's the one being fucked with. So yeah, it's just brilliant. Like all of everything.
I love the point of view shots that we get.
Let's talk about that.
From Michael. Like the whole movie starts off with like a POV shot, which is so
Again, Black Christmas did it first, but
yes, but it's
Black Christmas doesn't get the love it deserves. But anyway,
it does
continuing
here.
on.
We love Black Christmas.
it does here.
We're 15 years in the future before the movie takes place, and we're in this like really nice home in suburban Illinois, and it's
15 years in the past.
Yeah,
before
15
the
years in
movie
the
takes
past.
place.
Yeah, is that what I said?
There we go.
You said in the future, and I was like, I don't know what's happening, but now I understand. I got you. Continue.
I clarified. Don't worry,
picking up
girlies.
what I was putting
yeah.
down.
The vibe was right.
And we see this girl and her boyfriend like kind of fooling around, and they're like, oh, where's my little brother? He's around here somewhere. But we're watching these two characters like from a point of view. And we eventually learn it's Michael's point of view, but you don't know that until after one, his sister and her boyfriend have like the quickest
The
sex
speediest,
ever. I mean, like from like
2 pumps.
the point of getting up there, putting on his clothes and leaving was like a minute and a half max.
Wait, I have the exact number because it was on IMDb trivia. Let me find it in my notes. Yeah, it's 1 minute and 6 seconds.
What a rock star. What a fucking rock star.
Here's the thing. The one thing this movie is, it's realistic about teenage sex only lasting not long at all.
Sure.
And the women being like, oh, yes, that was fantastic.
You can't talk about this while the babies in the womb are listening to the podcast. You have to censor this part later. I'm just realizing.
Babies.
Okay.
Go back to
sure.
Do better,
Coco Melon.
babies.
Go back to Coco. Go to
Take
Peppa.
the headphones off at this
Go
point,
to
you guys.
Peppa.
They don't
Go
need
to
the rest
Peppa.
of the episode. They've got their Spooky Tuesday dose. We'll do more content for the babies later.
This is no longer a baby safe
This is
zone.
no
Moving forward, alert. All parents. Turn on Coco Melon.
This is spooky
Paw
Coco
Patrol.
Melon, okay?
I know 3 names of kids shows. I don't even know
You're
if that's
killing
still on.
it.
Bob the Builder. That one's definitely not on anymore. Anyway, but yeah, I love the POV shot at the beginning, especially when they put the mask on. And so you're just seeing through the little eye holes. Because like I completely forgot this, and also it's supposed to be a little shocker for you. You're thinking like, oh, like going into this movie, you know that there's some spooky man who kills people. That's like the whole premise. So you're like, this is an adult man. And then like, whoa, the reveal is that it's a 6-year-old boy.
I loved coming to the realization that Michael Myers was 6 when he murdered his sister, and I was 6 when I watched this movie. I
You're
wonder
like, look
if
at this
Mark.
whole world of possibilities open to me now.
I wonder if Mark planned that. At
He's
this
like,
point,
you're 6. Michael was 6. You're old enough.
It's time.
If he can do a murder, you can watch a murder.
exactly. Like that'll have to be a tradition in my family now. A child is 6, rite of passage, Halloween, baby.
They turn 6, you turn off Coco Melon, you turn on Halloween.
Yeah. That's when they graduate.
It makes
No
sense.
in between.
It's all making sense. But before we get totally into the entire movie, something I found that I thought was really, really cool, because like for me, I've before, today, when I've apparently had an epiphany and I like this movie a lot more now. I was like, why do people like Michael Myers so much? Like, I get annoyed by like the unkillable foe that like just pisses me off. Like sometimes if it's done super well, I'm fine with it, but like I want our peeps to have a fighting chance. And I was like, why do people love him so much? Everyone dresses up as him. I've seen 20,000 tattoos of him. Like, what is it? So I Googled so many times, like, why do they care? Why? I'm bad at
literally
search
why.
terms.
Yeah.
So I found this article called "The Enduring Appeal of Michael Myers" by Darren Mooney, and this is from the Escapist magazine, and he wrote this just last year. But I was reading this article, and he kind of set up the context for this movie for me in a little bit of a better way, like when it actually came out and how it hit different back then when it came out, when it hung out as well. But this was like right on the heels of like a lot of like insane sensationalized serial killer things that had happened, and it was kind of like the first time that these serial killing things were like getting press coverage in the same way. So like 60s had the Manson family murders, there's the Zodiac killer, and then during the 70s there's Son of Sam and Ted Bundy. And so the crux of this time was that this was just before they started figuring out the art of profiling a serial killer and understanding why. So if you've ever watched Mindhunter, that whole show is like about them figuring out how to profile serial killers to like understand why the fuck they're killing 1 billion people. Before it was just this like ununderstandable concept. It's like, why would what happened to this person? They're just evil or something like that. So
yeah, because it was kind of like
it
had happened. There had been a few throughout Jack the Ripper classic, but like there was like a serial killer boom in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, totally. It's probably because like,
there's something about the
technology,
and blah blah blah. Yeah,
information getting around better, TV, blah 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 blah. That too. So people, like, I think just as many people were killing a lot of people back in the day, but now we have a better way to know about it. But I mean, it's both. But this was like right before they started figuring out how to figure out why this was happening, because it's different for every serial killer, but there are some trends. And so this Michael Myers really personifies like, or embodies like that picture of fear, like that picture of the serial killer where like, what's wrong with him? He's just evil. Like Dr. Loomis says, like he's like pure evil. And so it's just this terrifying evil force with like an unknowable face, which is also what really gets people about Michael Myers too, is like how iconic that fucking mask is. And I know that everybody else in the entire world knows this, but I didn't know until this week that it was a William Shatner mask that they painted white. And I think that is the best thing I've ever heard. And I want to know what William Shatner thinks about it.
William Shatner, what are your thoughts?
He didn't like it.
I wouldn't imagine
where
so.
I read this. I think somewhere it says, this is from IMDb trivia. Jamie Lee Curtis said in interviews that William Shatner was initially not happy his likeness was used to be the mask of this demonic and hideous serial killer. She has also said Mike Myers, the Canadian comedian from SNL, who's behind Wayne's World and Austin Powers, was also not thrilled that there was a serial killer with his name. But I think I remember reading somewhere, and I don't know where because it's not popping up in my notes, and it's not one of the articles that I was looking at today, But I think on IMDb trivia, it also talked about how at some point he like sued them for using his likeness. And then they settled out of court. And then somebody on IMDb trivia was like, and actually it's pretty funny because technically they weren't using his likeness. They were using Captain Kirk's likeness. And so he didn't really have standing because it was a Captain Kirk Star Trek mask.
Yeah. That's just so nuts. I love that because I love William Shatner. He's very nice.
Well, he donated all of his proceeds that he got from the settlement to charity, so he sounds very nice.
Great guy.
But yeah, it's a William Shatner mask, and they like ripped off the sideburns, and they ripped off something else, and then they painted it. It had the eyebrows and the sideburns ripped off, and it was painted from IMDb. I quote, fish belly white. And then the hair was spray painted brown and the eyes were opened up more. And it's very scary to look at. They did a good job.
It is truly unsettling because it looks like somebody and looks like nobody all at the same time. And throughout the movie, he's referred to as the boogeyman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And even in the script, they just call him the Shade. They only mention Michael Myers' names like twice in the whole.
The Shade.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. No, because they're not trying to like personify him. Like they're not trying to give like a face to this scary man. He's supposed to just be like kind of an energy of evil or whatever. And then obviously that like kind of changes more as the films go on. So I've seen as it gets hokier and hokier.
But it's interesting. I was looking at like what fits into the general lore, because there's this movie, and then they did a sequel that came out, I think, in 1981.
81. Yeah, I have a list of all of them.
Yeah, what's super interesting is that it is a direct sequel, and as part of like a partnership, they also debuted the original 1978 Halloween on TV the same day that the sequel came out in theaters. And it was like the first, apparently, and I don't remember which article it was from that I read this, but apparently the first home video rental store only opened in like 1977. So it was not like you could really watch theatrical releases at home, really. So if you missed it when it was in theaters, when it was screening on TV in 1981, that was like your first opportunity to see it. But they added in a couple extra scenes to make it like long enough for a 2-hour TV block runtime.
They had to do that because they had to cut out all the nudity. So he was missing a bunch of time because he had to cut out all the nipples. And there's a lot of nipples.
In the pot. They had to cut out the pot too.
Yeah. That's like a lot. That's a lot of the movie.
Yeah. But they added in these scenes and it kind of like retcon some of the canon also, because they made some choices for the sequel, and I don't really want to talk about this too much until later, and then I do 100% want to discuss it. But so like they added in some scenes that kind of changed the context of the film a little bit because they needed to add something, they needed to flesh it out, and they wanted to like marry it to the sequel that was coming out. But then the 2018 movie that like rebooted the franchise completely ignores that movie. It's like, in the context of that movie, the 78 one is the only one that exists. Yes. And then it's that one, Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, which is coming out this year, I think.
Yeah, it comes out this fall. Yeah, because like I think it was the second one that John Carpenter was like, it's an abomination.
Yeah, he basically said in some quote that I read, like, sometimes you make artistic choices and sometimes you make business decisions. And Halloween 2 was a fun, little, sexy business decision. And I wouldn't do it again. So.
Yeah, because didn't somebody else direct it at first and then he like came in and was like, let me fix this. And then
I have no idea.
It was unfixable. I read something like that, but I don't know. And then he's not, Michael Myers isn't in the third one. I just found out.
Yeah, he's not in the third one, which
what could the third one be about?
I have this list of all of the movies and it says, we're skipping over Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Why? Because Michael Myers doesn't factor into the story at all. If that bums you out, well, you're not alone.
But also, again, I've only seen the first one and then Halloween like
2018.
but I do know that the third one has like a huge cult following, and it's supposed to be actually like pretty good.
But it's
Okay,
completely
interesting.
different
Yeah,
vibe.
It's just, they slapped the Halloween label on there. Very Troll 2 of them.
Well, I
Yeah.
think they wanted to like they didn't like the second one that much, so they were
Mhm.
trying to kind of pivot, and then everybody
They
got
pivoted
so
too
mad,
far.
and they realized like they have to have Michael Myers in the Halloween movies, which kind of then goes into him being this like unkillable force
Unkillable
and
thing.
blah, blah, blah,
Okay.
blah, because like
So
he
it's
had-
kind of like with
I mean, I feel
the
like-
Friday the 13th franchise, how they originally envisioned it being like an anthology series of different, completely unrelated Friday the 13th spooky stories.
right, because like
But then people were like, we like the unkillable killer. We want more of that. And so they also were like, okay, fine.
think about it, if you have a thing called Halloween, like and you
And
made
yeah,
it like an
It's
anthology
not called
series,
Michael
like,
Myers.
it could go in so many different ways,
directions.
and it could have been really cool, but like everybody was like, nah fam,
Yeah.
we love Michael Myers, and Michael Myers is a baddie, so like literally he's a bad dude.
Yeah, he's a bad guy.
Let's talk about him actually for a second, if that's okay. Because I was remembering that back in October when we did it and when Halloween Kills came out, there was so much discourse about, is Michael Myers homophobic because he like kills a gay person or couple in that movie? Maybe, I don't know, because they were trying to be like, yay, inclusive, gay people in this franchise, and then they got murdered, and people was like, wow, that's
Wow.
really homophobic, Michael Myers. And then it was also like, is Michael Myers queer? Can he be homophobic? And I would like to argue, yes, he is queer, because clearly he's a stunt queen with the way that he sets up all of these kills and then like presents them after the fact.
Thank you. Okay, I wanted to get into this because, like, Michael Myers, baby, listen to me. This is a direct appeal to Michael Myers, not to be confused with the babies that were listening before. I'm referring to Michael Myers as baby now.
As
okay, thank
baby.
you. As baby, Michael Myers, baby, leave the murders behind. There is a job opening for you at Halloween Horror Nights to set up the scares in the mazes. Because, honey, you have a gift. You have a gift. How did you get that body to fall down and swing back and forth like that? How did you get the cupboard door to open up to expose dead Titty Linda? Like, you've got it on lock. You got the hijinks down. You're booby trapping shit. Did you bring
Booby
springs with
trapping.
you? Booby trapping. But what did he bring with him? Like, he knows how to like load every door to open at the exact spooky moment. Like, he has something
He
inside
also
of
has-
him. An
he brought his
artist.
sister's headstone. for
Yes,
sure.
the superhuman strength to rip that out of the ground, casually carry it away with him, and then just like present it on the bed with Annie's
He had
body?
a car. He had a car.
Annie, yeah.
Yeah, but he still had to
still,
carry
he had
it
to
from
carry
the
that up a
cemetery
flight
into the
of
I'm
stairs.
still
garage.
impressed.
That's
still
probably
impressed.
how much do headstones weigh? I would guess
That one was
200
big.
pounds. I'm gonna Google.
Oh,
How much do headstones
He
weigh?
has an eye for art and design.
230
Okay?
pounds. Look at my guess being pretty spot on. Everybody clap.
Mikey is buff.
Yeah, I heard Michael Myers can bench press 230 pounds of his
can-
dead sister's
Wow.
headstone.
He's a
carry it
young
upstairs.
21. He's like at the prime of his physical blah 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 whatever. Maybe. I mean, he was
It is wild that
institutionalized,
he's
so who knows?
21 in this movie.
It's insane. It is so weird to think about. I think they do call him 23 at one point because they're just doing some Scream 5 math here. But he is in fact a young 21, which is truly crazy. Truly, truly crazy.
Just a young buck in his prime, murdering women and staging elaborate settings. I don't know. They're
Okay. One thing I do want to point out, because I mentioned how this movie was very realistic about, high school sex lasting no time at all. Another thing that is very realistic is two girlfriends driving around in their mom's car, smoking a joint and talking about boys. Like,
Love
that
it.
is hyper
I love that.
realistic. Like, and
it's
I
super real.
well, this is something that we get to, like, Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode, like she's portrayed as like, this is your like good girl, final girl, because the two other girls that died like had boyfriends the entire movie. Like we see Linda have sex. We know, like we see
Annie
Annie
only babysits to have a hookup spot.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so we see this, and Lori is like, guys don't like me because I'm too smart, and they're constantly like ragging on her for being like, you never leave, you have so much money because all you babysit and you don't go out, like, oh, you scared him away, Lori. But like, so even though she is this like good girl, you know, the virgin good girl, she's still smoking pot because she is cool. Okay.
It's not because she's
You
not
don't have to
thirsty,
fuck
you
to be
guys.
cool.
Yeah.
That's true though. You don't have to fuck to be cool.
You
but
have to do drugs though.
yeah, that's mandatory.
You gotta smoke pot to be cool. Those are the
but-
rules.
Like
We
we
don't make
learned
them,
from the
okay? But
faculty,
those are the rules.
drugs are the answer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's actually, it's so interesting because so much of the cultural discourse around Halloween has been about how it was like the origin of the sluts die, virgins get to live mythos or whatever you want to call it. And John Carpenter and Deborah Hall, who essentially wrote the movie,
Deborah
kind of
Hall's
together.
such a badass.
Yeah, she was very instrumental in like the whole creation of the movie. And so we want to make sure we put some shine on her name and not just John Carpenter.
One of the like major, like not major, but like it was very important that she was called a producer because she was a woman, and her and John Carpenter were like dating for like most of the movie. I think they broke up like partially through the movie or something like that.
Oh,
but
interesting. But they worked on the second one too.
Yeah, but he made like a big fuss of two things. He was like, one, I want it to be John Carpenter's Halloween. I want my name on it. And two, I want Deborah to have a producing like credit.
Yeah, but she she was Michael Myers at one point. She did the POV shot in the beginning when she was when Michael was going up the stairs. And I think she wore the costume maybe at one or two other moments too, because Nick Castle was like the main guy in the costume. And then Tony Moran, I think his name is off the top of my head.
Oh, is that the one who was his face?
Yeah, he was like the face reveal. But she was doing that too. But what was I saying a moment ago? Why did I bring this up? And then
we were talking about the virginal Laurie Strode thing. Yeah.
So they've been like very adamant that that's not what they were trying to say, and that's not a message that they wanted to convey or like co-sign or anything. And I hear them and I appreciate that. And I think this smoking pot kind of breaks that down to a degree, because it doesn't present her as this like perfectly innocent girl who's being like no to everything that her naughty friends do. But I also think it's so hard to divorce that from this movie when it also starts with him killing his sister right after she did sex. You know what I mean? Like it's really hard to take that out of the DNA of the original film. And when it's because she's Michael Myers is he gets his sister right after she fucks. He gets Linda right after she fucks and Bob right after she fucks. He gets Annie when she's on her way to like pick up her boyfriend to fuck. You know what I mean? So like most of the kills are very sex related, or at the very least sex adjacent.
And
it's
very
so hard
sexy.
to step that back.
All the kills are sexy. All of them.
They're all like autoerotic asphyxiation, you know?
Like for that, except for Bob, because Bob, he, you know, is very up close and very sexy with his very phallic knife. And they're like face to face, probably kissing. Probably kissing, because we don't see their face. As Monica pointed out, we only see the feet. Also, one thing that I dislike about this movie is I hate when dogs die unnecessarily.
Oh, yeah.
So many dogs die? Okay, it's 2 dogs, but 2 dogs die. That is 2 more dogs than should have died.
Yeah.
And like the one at the house where Annie is babysitting, sure, but why the other one?
He ate it.
I
Dr.
hate
Loomis
that.
is literally was like, oh, he was hungry. He
I
doesn't
hate
talk
that.
like
I hate that.
He kind of does talk like that.
Oh my God. His character, everyone's like, we love him. I want to strangle his character. I don't know what would happen in 1978. And I don't know if I'm saying the right acronym right now. Maybe I'll Google it. No, I'm not going to. Sydney, you'll know about this from Criminal Minds. What is it called? Like APB or something? Put an APB out. Put an
All points
APB out
bulletin.
on the Brown mental health services vehicle that has been stolen, like a brown hatchback that has like Department of the Government insignia on the door. Why are they not searching everywhere for the fucking car that he stole the whole time? Like, it's a small town. The car is all over goddamn town. It's literally right next to the cop like 5 different times. And also okay, Dr. Loomis hangs out in front of the Myers house like the entire fucking time in the bushes.
Just chilling.
He's just chilling
Hanging.
there. He yells at some kids at some points, which was hilarious. And he apparently is only facing like due west the entire time. I don't know what direction he's facing, but only one direction the entire time, because the whole fucking time he's staring at this bush when right fucking behind him is the car, because the car does not move. Like, he wasn't on a walk when he discovered the car. He just turned around and he's like, whoa, whoa, what? The car has been here?
It's
all
right
along?" I'm like,
here.
"You dumb fucking motherfucker. But didn't 5 minutes ago the cop come up behind you? So you turned around and you looked at the cop. And what's behind the cop? The car. The car that we're... that's the one, like, there's a couple logical fallacies in this, but that one, I was just like, baby boy, constant vigilance. You're not doing it right. You're doing it wrong.
Like, this is unacceptable, honestly.
It is
Do
a
you
very
think maybe-
noticeable car.
Did he maybe walk away and see the car at one point? At one point, he says there's something going on, and he says like just 3 blocks away, or like just 1 block over. So I think maybe it's not right across the street. But it was very hard to like
after
track
he
what was
saw the
going
car.
on.
He started walking
Oh.
after he saw the car, because he saw the car and then he's like, oh shit, because he knows he's not in that house. So he starts walking around the neighborhood like on foot. At least that's what I thought when I watched it. But if I'm wrong, let me know. I'm sorry. But yeah, that made me go absolutely batshit nuts. And
Yeah,
also
all I have in my
everyone-
notes is I wrote, how close are the other houses to the Myers house is, I guess, also my question. And then I wrote, not Dr. Loomis running to the car. And then, like, girl, how did you not notice it earlier when it pulled up? So you're right. It must have been, like, right there. And he should have noticed, because I clearly made note of that.
He totally should have noticed. Also, like, every person of authority in this film fails so thoroughly. Like, I'm not gonna blame Dr. Loomis and nice nurse friend for what happens to them at the beginning, because they can't control electricity or whatever happened that made all of the people escape and walk around. Also, that's a really haunting image when they pull up to
Right.
Yeah.
All the
to the
people.
hospital and everyone's just meandering around. This is really great. And that whole sequence when the car gets stolen.
And he's like smashing the window with his bare hand.
Yes. Oh my God. But like when he reports it the next morning and is talking to the head of the hospital or whatever, I don't know if it's a hospital or what the terminology was for that. Wherever Michael was being held.
It was like a mental hospital.
Yeah, okay.
Probably.
It was an institution, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, an institution. That main guy was like, oh, like, well, he's probably not going back to Haddonfield, and how the hell would he get there? And like Loomis
He
is like,
can't
bro,
drive a
he has
car."
a fucking car. Like, you can figure out how
Mhm.
to drive a car.
It's not
Like,
that hard.
Babies drive. Back to babies. We're talking about babies a lot. Back to babies.
Back to
babies
Babies
sometimes
episode
drive
title.
a car. They do. there's been
It's a very baby centric episode.
there's been things when babies have accidentally stolen a car.
Babies! I've heard
That's
that about
true.
babies before.
I can't tell you in a specific instance, but I've seen it.
I've seen it.
I
yeah.
know the babies.
In that moment, it's
about
literally so dumb because the police officer guy is like, how would he even get there? It's 150 miles away. He can't drive a car. And he's like, well, I saw him driving it, so I'm pretty sure that he figured it out just fine. He even accuses them like maybe somebody taught him, which is really interesting because I think there's a good chunk of years in there where there's 15 years where Michael is institutionalized, so that I don't, to my knowledge, has never been focused on in one of the Halloween sequels, which is super interesting. They do kind of look into it a little further and the extra scenes that they filmed for the TV release. That kind of factors in there, and I'll circle back to that later. And also, I found the clips on YouTube, so I'll put them in our episode notes.
Yeah,
so everybody can watch. And I found one in a New York Times article that is like 30 minutes long and has like 9 minutes of scenes and then like 21 minutes of commercials from 1981. So if you like 80s commercials,
I'm actually
I'll put that one as
interested in
well.
that. I love
it was
old
pretty
commercials.
interesting, and there's some news in there as well. So
I thought you said news.
Yeah,
there might be. I'll be
that
honest,
would
I
be the
skipped
purpose of the
through
new
some of
scenes.
the
The 80s.
ads. There was a very interesting gum commercial that I did watch, but anyway, but yeah, there's like a lot of time in the institution that they kind of just gloss over, but what they do say in this movie is basically that like he's always been evil and there's evil behind his eyes, and I looked at him and I could see the evil in his eyes, and he had this, the quote is blank, pale, emotionless face. But it's so interesting. He says, like, I met him 15 years ago and I was told he had no sense of good or evil when he was 6. When he was 6? Yeah,
Maybe.
6-year-olds are crazy. Like, there should be some internal compass, maybe, I don't know. But it feels a little unfair to 6-year-old Michael Myers to be like, he was evil personified and he gave me nothing for 15 years and that's how I knew he continued to be evil all this time. But also then he does break out and kill a bunch of people, so like he was proven right. Dr. Loomis maybe was onto something after all. Which makes me also think, like, whatever the electricity thing was in the beginning, like, did Michael Myers orchestrate that? And that is also sort of implied. Yeah, I mean, was that part of his like escape plan to break out? Because he did it just in time, and 15 is kind of like a good, nice anniversary. I don't know that we know how old his. Oh,
He's a stunt king. He did this on purpose.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Him wearing the sheet to be a ghost as Bob after he killed Bob. Also, like, that's a moment. He is creating a tapestry of scenes.
The ghost scene was so. I was like, so you little dick. I wrote in my notes, Michael is such a dick. And he dressed up as a little ghosty, like he. I'm gonna fucking murder you.
Funny.
I can't believe
he loves a costume. He steals that. He kills that farmer guy and steals his overalls. He gets the mask. Like, he just loves to play a little dress up, and good for him.
He loves it. I'm like just imagining that, like, over the years he's just been like pilfering little strings and like little springs and like little things that could make his little Halloween spook show come to life. And he's like, yes, thank God I have 5 screws and 10 springs so I can spring load this door to open 5 seconds after she walks through the other door. Like, this is like, I'm imagining a meme. Can we make a meme where it's Michael's face, but then the math is in the air? You know, the lady who looks
from
in
the
the
soap
sky.
opera, yeah,
and she's looking at the math in the sky, and that's him planning out all these murders, and he got them down real nice.
He was getting a good education in there, learning how to do stunts, learning how to create set pieces. You know, he was taking notes all along. Yeah. Those 15 years of silence and stillness, he was thinking the whole time.
Oh, yeah. He had a vivid imagination. He has a vivid imagination. He's still alive. He'll never fucking die. My God. I know that we have talked about babies a lot during this episode, but I just want to bring it back to babies really quickly.
Okay, one more time.
When I was looking up why people fucking like Michael Myers so much, why, trying to understand it. There was an article that was called "Why Do Children Love Michael Myers?"
Babies love Michael Myers.
Yeah, it's from filmanddublin.ie. I don't know how I found this website. But it's a very funny article where this guy's mostly making jokes. But yeah, there's been a ton of videos viral on the internet lately of like little kids, like they come around, they're sitting at their birthday party. It's just like Signs, where instead of the alien walking by and the kids are like, holy shit, it's Michael Myers walking by and the kids are like, holy shit, yes, I'm so happy that Michael Myers is here, my best friend that I love. And so there's this whole article about all these reasons why kids might like it. The first, it's a listicle. The first one says his music slaps. Children are creatures of impulse and immediacy, less burdened by context. They like the songs. That's it. It's true. The songs do slap. Another one says, dude loves Halloween and kids love Halloween. So it just makes sense
They've got a
that
lot
everybody
in
loves
common.
Halloween. They have shared interests.
Uh-huh.
And then I don't understand what the third one. It says Michael Myers is shaped like a friend. I'm not going to get into that. I don't know what that means. It says
He's friend-shaped.
just like Kirby.
Yeah,
Just like
he's friend-shaped.
Kirby. Yeah, friend shaped. Yeah. So good. Great. And then the fourth one is what really got me because I have not watched the rest of the Halloween movie. So I didn't know about this. But this is what it says. Number 4, kids have not seen Halloween 4 through 6. You see, kids are fake Halloween fans. In their pathetic ignorance, they are lulled into a false sense of security in the belief that Michael will not harm them, that his only targets are teenagers and the adults who protect them. And that's why they're still kids, because they're stupid. If these idiot toddlers, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. I was dying when I read this. If these idiot toddlers were true fans is capitalized, are and actually bothered, I don't know what that means. And bothered to do some research, they would know that Michael is just as likely to try and murder children when the situation calls for it. That situation being the curse of the cult of Thorn, which is apparently one of the Halloween movies.
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah.
Lots of curses, lots of cults.
Yes. So apparently there's some child murder later on in the franchise. And so the
Babies
young
beware.
idiot children don't know about that. I'm pro baby, but this man is writing a scathing review of babies. This is Luke Dune or Dunn, and it's hilarious. And I love him. So shouts out to
Roasting
him.
those babies.
Here's the thing.
But
As a baby myself who loved Michael Myers and also as a
current baby.
As a current baby.
as a baby once and forever, Michael Myers slaps. The music does slap. I'm sorry.
He is shaped
What?
like a friend.
And
in
here's
the
the thing,
way that
I
he is
also
shaped
haven't
like a
seen-
man and what? I don't get that one.
I haven't seen Halloween
It's not
4
for
through
you,
6,
Monica.
so
It's
I
okay.
guess I'm not a
Yeah.
fan.
I guess I'm also a fake fan. I'm also a stupid little baby.
I'm a
And
stupid little baby fake fan.
Yeah, I feel
no,
safe.
and from the get, I'm saying that I am a stupid little baby when it comes to this franchise.
Well, let's be real. Like Tommy and Lindsay are very much in danger in this movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like they're very
they're
much
so
haunted.
cute.
Does he like kill that kid? Oh no. There's something in the beginning with the kid at the school after Tommy's being bullied about.
Oh,
the
he just
boogeyman.
grabs that kid.
Yeah.
He doesn't kill him. Thank God.
Okay,
He
but
just
can
gives
we,
him a
neck.
startle.
can we also talk about how baby Lindsay is Kyle Richards from
Yes.
Real Housewives of Beverly Hills / married sister of Kathy Hilton, aka Paris Hilton's aunt from House of Wax.
Wait, say that again. She
The horror
married-
connections
Kyle
are
Richards
unprecedented.
is Kathy Hilton's sister. And Kathy Hilton is Paris Hilton's mom. So Kyle Richards is Paris Hilton's aunt.
Oh my
Therefore,
goodness.
it all goes back to House of Wax.
That's why they
Wowee.
picked Paris to be in House of Wax, because they're like, it's the same exact thing as Jamie Lee
Uh-huh.
Curtis and her
Great
mother,
connection.
and her
From
mother,
Psycho.
the star of Psycho.
Janet
And
Lee.
Lee.
apparently,
Janet Lee, who's Vivian? I
sorry
didn't
if
say
this
that.
is a
Somebody else said that.
spoiler, But another reason why I just wanted us to do Halloween so we can cover H2O, but then that's because I
That's
like
the
the
Tyra
name.
Banks one. Yeah.
No, it's
I
not.
thought there were
No, it's not. It's
I thought
not
there
the
were
Tyra
20
Banks one.
Halloween
It's
movies
not the
because of
Tyra
that.
Banks one. No, so H2O. So I
mermaid
think
one.
that Jamie Lee is only in the first one and the second one. I don't think she's in the third, fourth, fifth. I don't know if there's a sixth one.
There really is, because the article
Yeah,
said there
there's
was
a
six
sixth
Babies
one.
don't see fourth
There's
or
a
sixth.
sixth one. And I don't know if there's any other numbers beyond that.
There's
I have an
12
article actually.
total, I think.
Hold on, I have the article right here. Okay,
Yeah.
fifth, sixth, and then okay, so she's not in the sixth. Then she comes back for the seventh one for H2O 20 years later. That's why it's 220. I thought it came out in 2000 and that's why it was called H2O.
I thought it was
and
the
so she's-
20th movie when it came out, and I was
Me
like, wow,
too.
there've been a lot of these. I need to catch up, and I have
Wow.
not caught up.
And maybe Tyra Banks is in that one. No, she's not. But Tyra Banks is in Halloween Resurrection, which came out in 2002. And then after that comes Halloween and Halloween 2, which came out in 2007 and 2009. Those are the Rob Zombie remakes.
Okay.
Yeah, which I've never seen, and I've heard those are really fun. And they reimagine a lot of the lore and just like do it different. And I would love to see those. And that's why it was such a big deal in 2018 when the new trilogy of Halloween came out, because they got Jamie Lee to come back, because it had been like almost 20 more years since the original. Well, it had been 40 years since the original in 2018.
And I knew that Kyle Richard was in Halloween Kills, and she, I think, is going to be in Halloween Ends. But I didn't realize that it was because she plays young Lindsay in the original until I was looking at IMDb for this movie. Like, I knew she was in that, but I was like, that's so weird. I wonder why. Now I know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, no, we're not doing a podcast episode on 2018 Halloween, but that one was really fucking good. And it was like, people really like that one because it cut all the crap. There's like, it's basically like 2 through 6 are crap. I couldn't tell you about H2O. I hope that it's amazing. There's no way the Tyra Banks one isn't a piece of flaming shit, but I'm gonna watch the shit out of it. I'll tell you that. Love you, Tyra. So like they just like set fire to like the whole franchise, whole franchise, and then brought it back to basics. And the thing that I found out today that blew my fucking brain open is that Danny McBride fucking co-wrote Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends.
He's crazy.
Danny McBride.
Incredible.
If you guys haven't watched Righteous Gemstones, listeners, change your life. Do it. It's so fucking good. Like, wow. But
what was that movie? This Is the End. And he was with Channing Tatum in that scene. Was that?
Oh,
is
I
that
haven't
Danny
seen
McBride?
that movie. Danny McBride is.
I don't know how I feel about it, but is this
He's
who I'm
Bound
thinking
and
of?
Down.
Danny McBride.
He has a like curly fro hair. He's very adorable. Looks like a dad. He was in Pineapple Express, because the director of Halloween 2018 is the same director as Pineapple Express, I believe.
He was also in Eastbound and
David
Down.
Gordon Green. Yeah. He wrote that too.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah. And he's
he
in
wrote,
This Is
right?
the End, where he has Channing Tatum on a leash and a gimp mask. Just a little teaser for you if you ever do decide to check out
Very
that movie.
deeply interested in that.
Lots of good Hollywood jokes in that, at least, which I appreciate. But anyway. Back to
Speaking of Halloween Kills,
okay,
let's talk about all the kills in this movie.
Amazing transition. Gorgeous transition.
Because we already talked about how all the kills are sexy / sexual in this movie, probably because Michael is a 21-year-old virgin. So
he's got some weird sex issues, which he can deal with Dr. Loomis in therapy, but he won't.
He got some issues.
He does. But I just want to say that I love Annie.
I also love Annie.
I love Annie. And who is the actress that plays Annie? And is it Chelsea Peretti's family member? Because I feel like they look so much alike to me, then their vibes are similar also. They're both hilarious. I don't know, something about them. Does anyone else see that? No? Yes? Let me know in the comments.
She comes back in Halloween 3, but as a different character.
Love
Love that for her.
And she was, I mean, John Carpenter must just like her because she was also in Assault on Precinct 13, which is the movie that he made before Halloween in 1976.
Nancy
and apparently
Keys.
that movie has, apparently that movie has a banger soundtrack as well. And that movie was what made, what's his name? Donald Pleasance. That's why he agreed to be in this movie. And for as cheap as he was, because they had a bunch of other names in mind, but they couldn't get anyone to like sign on for the role because their budget was so small, essentially. But Donald Pleasance, I think his daughter had seen Assault on Precinct 13 and really liked the music, and she was in a rock band, and so she was like, "You got to do it, Dad," and he was like, "Okay." That's how he sounds in my brain. Okay.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
It looks like there aren't many great matches for your search. My search was Nancy Keys, Chelsea Peretti, huh?
Put Nancy Keys, Chelsea Peretti related ? It's not going to turn up anything else, but I love a Google.
Oh my God. The results I did get are porn, so we need to move on. I don't understand how I got
Babies
here.
beware. Babies beware.
Very scared. Very scared. Anyway, Annie's whole like sequence of her whole evening is so fucking funny. I love her. She's like, I have butter on myself. I will become nude.
Right? Like, I'm just gonna strip naked in this thing and then lock myself in the washer or in the laundry, which is outside, which is like so vintage.
Do you know what though? It didn't process for me until this moment, and I don't know that it would have clicked into place if I hadn't watched the extra scenes. But the dance that they talk about in the beginning is like later in the evening after they are supposed to be done with babysitting. So maybe that was like her outfit for the dance.
Dance is the next day.
It's the next day.
The dance is the next day.
Then why did they ask Jamie Lee Curtis if they can borrow her silk blouse in the extra scene? Never mind. I retract my theory, which was that she needed to wash her outfit immediately so that it would be ready for the dance. Never mind, I guess.
I just know it's the next day because Linda's like, oh my God, I have to get up tomorrow and I have to go to cheerleading all day. I think it's like the homecoming dance.
Yeah.
And I have to do cheerleading all day and then I have to come home and change. I'm going to be totally beat by the time the dance starts or something. And I was like, yeah, girl, cheerleading is a lot of it's a lot of work. Chelsea would know.
So I would also know.
So
Sydney more than me. But I'll be the cheerleading expert for this one moment.
I would like to go back to the laundry room because
please.
This is how my brain's working. Okay, the laundry room, detached from the house. They live in Illinois where it snows for like so many months out of the year. Like that doesn't seem logical. I would never do my laundry in the wintertime.
Exactly. And that's why you know that this movie was filmed in California, Pasadena specifically. They had a really fucking hard time making it believable that it was fall in the fucking Midwest when it was actually like springtime in
it was like
LA.
April in Pasadena and they couldn't find any pumpkins, so they found weird squashes and painted them orange.
They also painted the leaves, which is Sleepaway Camp copied their style later on. They were like, "Oh, good tip." They noted
just
that down.
spread them and used a leaf blower.
And then they had to like collect them afterwards to like reuse them.
Genius. But
doing
also,
the most
like,
with the least. Good for them.
Poor Annie getting stuck in a literal stuck porn situation. Like, I didn't know that could happen in real life, but here we are. She was really trapped upside down, and thank God Lindsay heard her. What if that was like the end of Annie? Like, she doesn't even die. She just stuck in there for the rest of the
R.I.P.
Honestly, would have turned out better for her if she just stayed stuck. But we know that Michael goes in the laundry room. I think that's where he kills the dog number 2. So unfortunately, she would have got regardless. Is it better that she got caught in the car instead of stuck in the window in the laundry room? What do we think?
Probably.
Less embarrassing.
Right? Way less embarrassing. But he moved her, so she wouldn't have been found there, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Nobody would have known that she was stuck the way that she got freed, and then Lindsay found out she was stuck, and then Paul, the boyfriend on the phone, found out that she got stuck. Maybe if she'd been killed in the window, she would have actually regained or maintained some of that never been stuck in a window dignity.
True. But I
True.
think her getting killed in the car probably saved Lindsay's life. So
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like he
Save
would
a
have
child murder for movie 4.
exactly for the fourth for the
What
fourth
movies 4
movie.
through 6? Yeah.
My favorite death is Linda's. Because there's nothing more that I love than her like thinking her boyfriend Bob is doing a sexy
little bit.
ghost
Yeah.
dance prank before
A
they
little
go for
role
round
play.
2. I was just like, he's just standing there in a ghost sheet, which is so fucking funny.
It's so funny. And I would love that if that happened. If someone,
I would
if,
have
if Adam came in the ghost sheet, I'd be like, haha. But now I've seen this movie, so I'll be freaked out instead. So
I'd be
thanks,
so into it.
Halloween.
But it's so funny because poor Linda calls Lori like right as like she's like, you're being a bore. Like, I'm just gonna call Lori and see what she's doing.
He wouldn't give her beer, and so she was pissed.
Yeah,
Been there.
Valid. And she's on the phone with Lori as she's getting murdered, and so Lori just hears
It really sounded like sex noises.
It did. It sounded very sexy. These are the sexiest murders to exist because Annie's murders sound like this. Paul even let out like a like he was finishing noise. Or not Paul, Bob. Paul didn't die. Sorry, babies.
Paul didn't die.
But
sorry, babies.
Apologies to the babies who are relying on us to give them factual information about the Halloween franchise so that they could start their Michael Myers love in the womb as intended. So sorry to babies. We did tell you to tune out. And if you're getting misinformation at this point, that's on you, babies.
Sorry,
yeah, you gotta start taking responsibility for your actions.
Look, babies.
Early. We're raising a responsible
It's a hard
youth.
world out there, babies.
Oh,
what a weird theme for this episode.
I like it.
I like it too.
I think it's good. I'm gonna change what we're listed under. What if we start trending on Apple Podcasts under like child podcast,
child enrichment?
That could be us. We say things that could be enriching for children.
I don't want a single child to hear this. If they do, good, okay, but don't tell your mom.
If they do, okay.
When I have a child, that baby is going to be so enriched with all of my knowledge. Like,
yeah, because she's gonna have your kid's gonna have us as aunties, so they're gonna be so enriched.
Exactly. We're gonna be like, let's all watch Halloween together and talk about it.
But I also, to get back on topic, I like Linda's death also because we see more of it than we see of the other deaths. Like, we see Annie go into the car. And I actually think it's very cool that we see like that the windows are steamed up because essentially he's been like waiting for her in the
and
back.
just heavy breathing.
Also,
Just
another
classic.
hint that she's about to die is that she goes to get her keys because the car is locked, but when she comes back, the car is open. And they didn't have the remote control unlock thing back then. You have to turn the key in it. So she just opens the door and it's open. I noticed that just because I watched it 2 times in like 48 hours. So anyway.
Great detail. But yeah, she goes in the car and then he like grabs her or something. And then he cuts her neck. And honestly, this movie is so bloodless that I didn't even like process that was what had happened at first. Cause I was like, what did he just do? Like it looked, but you don't see anything at first. Yeah. Okay. That's right. But the phone cord around Linda's neck is just so fun, such a great visual. Works so well with Annie having called Lori earlier and not saying anything at first because she's just like busy. She's doing other stuff. It's like, look, Lori, just because you picked up the phone doesn't mean I'm ready to talk right away.
Her mouth was full, okay?
Her mouth was full. But then to bring that back and have Lori have like a good reason to dismiss it because A, it's the 70s, no caller ID, so she doesn't even know that it's Linda. And B, like this is the second time in maybe 2 hours. Like, of course she thinks it's the same thing. And it doesn't occur to her that there's a murderer out there doing murders. Although it does a little bit because they've been stalked by the car and they have been like, this is so creepy. She spotted Michael a couple of times.
Yeah. And then it just, I know that all we talk about is babies. But maybe
Important.
believe babies, you know? Maybe that's one of the takeaways from this movie. Believe babies when babies tell you the boogeyman is outside. Like, if I have a kid and my kid's like, there's a hobgoblin underneath my bed, I'm going to check. I'm going to make sure there's no hobgoblin under there. I'm not going to be like, no, you dumb baby. You're dumb. I would never do that. And that's what they do to the poor little boy. He's like, the boogeyman is out there right now. And he is correct. Listen to baby.
Oh no, Tommy is totally legit about the boogeyman being real. Which again, believe children when they think like a monster is around. Just believe the babies. Believe them.
babies. Hashtag believe babies.
Hashtag believe babies.
Believe babies. God, no one.
But yeah, I like Bob's
does.
death too, just because he gets impaled with a knife and Michael Myers lifts him effortlessly with one hand and stabs him so hard it goes all the way through his body and into the cabinet. And also the cabinet is so strong that he's just suspended from it there because the sharp edge of the blade is facing down and the blunt edge of the blade is facing up. And so instead of slicing clean all the way through his body, he just dangles. And that's when you see the toes.
Great visual though.
Beautiful visual.
One would say Bob is light on his feet.
God damn it, Sydney. Okay, so let's talk about our girl Lori as final girl because we wait. I don't know if you noticed this, but it is 54 minutes into the movie before Annie dies. So it's 54 minutes of edging minus the first 3 minutes where someone immediately dies. So there's like 51 minutes of edging of spooky shit where no one actually dies that you actually see on camera. And then then it's just like the last 30 minutes. You're like, holy fucking shit, holding on for dear life. But then finally we get Lori out there showing her stuff. And let me just say that she makes some of the most interesting sounds that I've heard from a final girl. Very
in there.
weird, very weird sounds. We're back to babies, a little goo goo gaga sometimes as well. She's like, oh, it sounds like the woman when she falls while she's squishing the grapes in that news segment. Did anyone ever see that viral video of the lady who was squishing the grapes with her feet and then she falls on the ground and she makes a lot of weird sounds. Some of Lori's sound a little bit like that. I can't believe this is not ringing immediate bells for you. I will put it in the references.
But I don't remember how the sounds
They're
sounded.
like, they're like that.
Okay.
Guttural, someone would say. But yeah, I mean, I feel like if she had made like a few fewer sounds, she would have given herself away a little bit less.
Yeah.
That said, very terrifying situation, girl. Make as many sounds as you need to get through it.
Yeah. The real problem and the thing that Jamie Lee Curtis said that she got asked all the time is like, why do you keep ditching the knife after every time that you stab Michael Myers? Like, and that first time is what is really the problem. And it's funny actually, because you see it later on the ground when she's like exiting or something. You see it later in the movie. Like he just had backup knives when he attacks her the second time. But yeah, she keeps
that thing on him.
He keeps that motherfucking thing on him. But yeah, she continually thinks it's over when it's not and ditches her weapon and is like, phew. Which I don't
Faith
blame
puts
her for,
back to
not
him.
great. Yeah, not great.
Oh, that makes me so anxious. I'm like, I want to keep him in my sights. But, she doesn't think that he is beyond, human ability. She thinks she's dealing with a man, but he's actually a superhuman, I don't even know, drone pure force of evil who cannot die.
Yeah. And I think maybe they addressed that a little bit in Halloween 2, or perhaps one of the 2018-2021 sequels. Based on one of the articles that I was reading, there was something about like a flashback scene that explains something fans have always, it's one of the newer sequels, because it was saying that the Sheriff Annie's dad says at some point in this movie, like, somebody stole a mask and some knives and some rope from the hardware store. And we never see anything happen with the rope, although maybe that was instrumental for rigging up the cabinets and the bodies to fall and swing around. But apparently it comes in one of those scenes that's like a flashback to the original 1978 movie timeline, whatever. But yeah, I mean, this clearly was like the inspiration for the you have to shoot them in the head in Scream, because he gets stabbed and he gets back up and he gets stabbed again and he gets back up and then he gets shot 6 times and falls out a window and then he gets back up. So he is just out there chilling,
Resilient.
doing him. Strong. Yeah. He's young. He can bounce right back.
Same. When I was 21, shoot me 6 times.
Throw me out a window. Yeah. Easy peasy.
Nothing. Now at almost 30, that would set me back a few days.
But yeah, I think she does a pretty good job as the final girl. That aside, and also I don't really blame her for that, because if I was fighting for my life and was up against the boogeyman and thought I had finished the job, I'm sure I also would immediately be like, okay, no more, thank you, I'm done now. But that she gets the kids out, she herself survives. She even unmasks him in that moment.
Yeah, because I was reading all these things. They're like, she's not actually a final girl because if Buttface McGee, what is his name? Buttface McGee. That's mean to say about Dr. Loomis. I'm sorry. I don't know why that came out. I don't know why that came out. If Dr. Loomis hadn't come back when he did, then she would have died. But I don't think that that's necessarily true, because I just rewatched it like an hour or two before recording this, and like he's strangling her, but then she rips off his mask and that distracts him, and then she falls to the ground, so he's no longer throttling her, and then that's when Dr. Loomis shoots him, right?
That's like also kind of like a bullshit argument, because like, is Sydney from Scream not a final girl because she wouldn't have survived without Gail Weathers showing up? You know what I mean? Like, it's a collaborative effort, baby. You still need to be the final girl.
It's so stupid, but yeah, even like I agree with that, but also like based on whatever this person's argument was, like you don't know what would have happened. Yeah, she's fucking scrappy as hell. The knitting needle, genius.
Yeah,
weaponized knitting, hell yeah, that's great. So she's a badass, and also like such a fucking little baby cutie in this, like her sweet face, her floofy hair, like. I love her. She's so adorable. And I'm sorry that this led to 20, 40 years of her life running and fighting Michael Myers. Poor Lori.
Yeah. And on that note, I want to talk about the extra scenes before we move on to our segments, not just because I've been teasing it this whole time, but because there's actually something super interesting that they do in it. And at this point, I'm going to say spoilers for Halloween 2, like big spoilers, probably, I assume. Again, I haven't seen the movie, but it feels like this would have been a big reveal. Apparently in Halloween 2 and in one of the extra scenes that they film for the first Halloween, they reveal that Michael and Lori are siblings. Have you guys ever heard this?
Yes. I have.
I had never heard it before.
Annoying.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can like have that extra scene in the first one, and if you're ignoring the canon from the second one, you can still kind of make it work, because I think part of the reason that he like focuses on Lori and like the people surrounding Lori is because she comes to the house when he's inside. She comes to the Myers house to like put the key under the mat. And that's one of the first times that you really get the heavy breathing too, that I noticed, which was used to great effect in that moment. But I think it makes total sense that he killed his sister was institutionalized, broke out. This is the first girl that he is seeing, roughly his sister's age, also a teenage girl, coming to his house. It makes sense that there's like some psychological association of her with his sister, or like a sisterly role regardless. I don't really understand why they would make her his actual sister, other than Jordan
Too on
Carpenter
the
said.
nose.
Yeah, John Carpenter was like, well, we needed something for the sequel,
Oopsies.
basically.
I think that also negates why the first one is so scary, because he just
Happens to see.
does it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he doesn't have a
Yeah.
reason why he's like terrorizing this. I mean,
Mhm.
like, he's
It's
like
just
these-
wrong place, wrong time.
exactly. Like, it could have been a different, person who came up to the house and he would have terrorized
Like,
them,
just
but she
walk
was
down
the
the street.
one that came, and she's the one that got terrorized. Like, it makes like, that's what's scary. It is the boogeyman. He is just doing this to do it, like, not because like, I want to kill my bloodline, which also becomes like a huge thing in later
Yeah.
Ew.
things. It's all about the bloodline.
Ew, weird. Anyway, but yeah, the extra scenes are there's a scene with Dr. Loomis like before an advisory board, basically arguing that 6-year-old Michael is a little demon devil, and that his catatonic state is 100% an act and he can see right through him. But the two people are like, no, I don't think so, and he'll be released when he's 21, I think that they're saying. And he's saying like, no, the 6-year-old must be kept away forever. And then there's a scene where he like visits Michael in the hospital, and is basically again like, I see right through you, as Michael just like stares out the window. And then there's a scene where Lori is at her house getting ready, and Linda comes over and is like, can I borrow your silk blouse? And they talk to like Annie on the phone, and Annie calls Linda a nerd or something, which I thought was kind of funny. She calls her a creep. And then Linda's like, no, you're a creep, ha ha ha. And they do a little giggly giggle. And then there is a scene after Michael has escaped where Dr. Loomis is at the hospital. It's like right before the scene where he walks out and is talking to the police officer about how Michael drove away. And he goes to visit Michael's hospital room, and it's been like trashed, and it has the word sister scrawled on the door. And that's when they like make the connection or whatever for Halloween too.
Fucking how is she? Where is she in the opening scene? Where the fuck is she? Was she not born yet? No. Is she younger than him? She is. Okay, so she wasn't born yet? No,
She might
she's
have
not
been
6
born.
years younger.
Yeah.
She's
So-
just a baby in a baby carriage. I don't know, man.
The
I
whole
don't
thing
like
is
that.
she was like a newborn, and like the murder, and then like the parents die, like kind of like tragically afterwards, so she gets adopted.
Oh.
Okay, fine. It could happen. It could happen.
Interesting.
It could happen. If she
Hmm.
was a little baby, it could happen. The theme is babies. Oh my.
The theme
God.
is babies, and now we know why.
I can't
we
believe
planned
that
this all
this
along.
happened. It's just amazing realizing things.
Mhm.
like
I
this.
love 2022 is the real year of realizing things.
I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more.
But let's move into our segments.
Awesome. Okay. Well, how could this movie be gay?
Michael's gay. Michael's gay, and
Why?
he loves
Michael's
to
a
be
bisexual
dramatic.
king.
Fine.
Okay.
He could be bi.
Why are you anti Michael Myers gay
I
agenda?
just don't like him that much, but I
Sure.
do. I just
I
don't want to
respect his
hang
flair
out
for the
with him at
dramatics.
Pride this year. I don't want to.
Sure.
But if he's in the community, he's gonna be there, and I'm gonna have to be like, "Hey, Michael,
Hey,
great to see
Michael."
you."
Yeah.
Do that whole thing. It's a lot of social work that I don't want to have to do, but I get it. Good for him.
him.
No,
but
Michael Myers
I do.
is a bisexual icon, just like constantly like lurking around pretty girls, but like, too afraid to talk to them, like I get like
Mm.
that. That's big bisexual.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But like you
I
said,
relate to
he-
that.
he was kissing Bob just off screen. They had that sexual tension in their moment.
They did. Bob was Michael's first kiss. Little known fact.
Wow, people don't know about this, but they couldn't have a gay on-screen kiss in this film, but there is a gay off-screen kiss. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty clear from the feet.
You could also argue that when he is killing his sister in the beginning, right after the sex, and he picks up the mask that he's wearing, the little clown mask, the boyfriend had been wearing earlier, had like picked up off the floor in the living room and brought upstairs to the bedroom. And so for him to like follow that moment, you could argue that Michael has some weird feelings towards his sister, I guess, but you could also argue that Michael has some weird feelings towards his sister's boyfriend. And that's why he's like,
it's jealousy.
Taking the mask. It's jealousy. That's why he lets the boyfriend walk away scot-free. No issues. Just lets him walk right by, puts on his mask, and then is like, I wonder what it's like to be him. I'm going to penetrate my sister in my own individual, not sexual way.
Wow. Dark, twisted, interesting take. But I could see it. I was with you up until the penetrate my sister in my own way.
But he does. Am I wrong?
Yep.
Am I wrong? I'm just saying.
Where would Matthew Lillard fit into this movie?
Okay. Matthew Lillard would have been an incredible baby Michael Myers because he would have been about 8 at the time.
Perfect. That would be an iconic start.
Mm-hmm. Right? That would have been an incredible start for Maddie Lily, our boy.
Perfect.
Time traveling Maddie Lily would also be a great Bob. And I would like to see.
He would look great in those glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they do like a true remake. Well, that doesn't make sense. Never
mind. Also, he would be a good Dr. Loomis. I would love to see Maddie Lily be a Loomis, you know? Full circle.
A little clear reference.
Yeah, he could also be any one of the school kids. He could be the bully kid if we're going with how old he would be.
Being like, watch out for the boogeyman. He's gonna get you. Yeah.
So mean. They throw his pumpkin on the ground.
Which is rude.
It's very rude. I would be devastated. Yeah, there's a lot of options for Maddie here. But as far as dumb bitch goes, I feel like it's like every, like we said, person of authority. And I would even include Lori's dad. He didn't know it, but he condemned his daughter to a life of pain and fear by making her bring those keys to the Myers house. He couldn't have known, but how dare he?
Listen, how dare he make his teenage daughter just do extra things for that?
Doesn't she have enough responsibilities? She's already babysitting.
I know. Even her babysitter, Tommy's like, why are you walking in this part of the neighborhood? School's that away. And she's
he's like, you're going to the spook house.
Scary.
The spook house.
I too would look at the house and get close to it though. So fuck, you know. But I would do that of my own accord, and then I'd be the dumb bitch.
Oh, I'd be all up in that house.
But yeah, Dr. Loomis
with that
not
dog.
glancing. Dr. Loomis not glancing across the street and seeing the car for 1 second. Dumb bitch behavior. The police not bothering to look for the car or even believe that anything is happening. Really dumb bitch behavior. The guy who's like, he can't drive after people saw him drive with their own eyes. Dumb bitch behavior. Like, there's enough of this award to go around this episode.
Seriously, like everyone is failing.
I think I like Dr. Loomis not seeing the car because there's multiple times
that's kind of ultimate. Yeah,
that car.
Yeah, there's many, many, many times he's literally right there. And the fact that he turns around and he's like, oh, and when he sees it, like he's so shocked. I'm like, you motherfucker, it's been there.
One of
he's
my
not
favorite,
been joyriding.
And one of my favorite scenes is when like Dr. Loomis is at where Michael robbed, and you see the car just like driving behind.
Seriously,
Michael Myers great at driving,
Incredible
bad
driver.
at being subtle. He's just absolutely riding Annie and Lori's tail, 100%
They see
tailgating them.
him.
They don't even notice. So a little bit dumb bitch nomination for that, but just a
Well, they're
nomination.
high. They're high
Um,
driving, okay? They have a
You'd
lot
think
to
they'd
do.
be a little more paranoid though, being like, "Who's this behind us?" Especially after Linda shouted at a man, and then they took note of the car. And especially this is after they were in school, and Lori noticed that someone in the car was like watching her from across the street. So a little more spatial situational awareness could have benefited them. But again, you're right. They are high and they are teenagers, and there are other people doing much more egregious dumb bitch behavior. But I do like when Dr. Loomis yells at the kids from behind the bush. I did think that was funny. So he gets 1 bonus point for that, but not enough to save him from winning the award. It's also kind of a dumb bitch intervention as well, but it is funny. It is funny.
Okay, well that brings us to our knives out of fives. And so I know this movie is beloved, but what did people think back in the day? Or I guess it's just now. It's not really a time capsule rating.
Sure. Well, on IMDb, this movie got a 7.7 out of 10. On Rotten Tomatoes, this movie got a 96% fresh from critics, which is like pretty high, maybe one of the highest we've seen. Although I don't recall off the top of my head. And it got 89% fresh from audiences. So pretty good overall. And it also is just like very much lauded as an incredible iconic film. It was selected in 2006 for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being, quote, culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. And it was also voted in some Entertainment Weekly list as the 5th scariest film of all time. So that's the base that I lay for this. I will say for my own rating, like I said, not really a Halloween girly necessarily, have a much better appreciation for it now than I did even like a few days ago when I was watching the movie. I think the perspective is really interesting because they only use it for Michael that one time in the beginning. But then there are enough like handheld shots that are sort of perspective-y, even when you can see Michael in the frame. Like there's one in particular where he's in the car driving by the school that I am thinking of, and it like shifts from looking through the windshield behind him to looking out the window. And so it seems like a POV shot, even though there's nobody sitting there, but it contributes to like this overall spooky atmosphere of like being watched, or someone was watching, someone is lurking. That I think really that and the music do so much heavy lifting and making this movie scary when so much doesn't happen for so long. I think it's just like a well put together film, especially for the resources they had for it, which were so incredibly low. They didn't have a lot of money. They didn't have a lot of things on set. Like Jamie Lee Curtis went to, I don't know, J.C. Penney's and bought her own wardrobe for this movie. Like everyone was just responsible for dressing themselves, essentially. I think with what they had available to them, they made an incredible film. And also just like baseline, it's iconic. It doesn't necessarily resonate with me in particular. But I think if I saw it in the right circumstances, it would be a Five Knives movie. That said, I'm not quite there yet on my own. So I'll give it like a provisional rating of like a 4.65.
Awesome.
This movie fucking slaps. I'm sorry, but like this is a 5 out of 5 for me. This was my first horror movie, so this is my like entry to horror love of it. I have like, you know, special memories like watching this with my dad. My ringtone is still the Halloween like horror theme. Like it holds up. It's good. Like it's not in your face scary, but it is that it builds suspense. It makes you uncomfy. It's so it's so important. This movie is
Yeah.
Very true.
culturally important, like so important for horror as a genre. This movie is so beloved to like so many people. Also, they do a really good job talking about this movie on Netflix and like the movies that made us or something like that. This is an episode and it is incredible. Also, like this is John Carpenter's like breakthrough movie, and we get him, and he's so important in horror and film, and just the way this is shot, the way the music is its own character in this,
Mm-hmm.
the
Very
way
true.
Jamie Lee Curtis is fucking timeless. She looks basically the almost, not exactly the same, but like exactly the fucking same. Like, and I know for her, this was like her trying to prove this because this was like her first big starring.
Yeah, this was her debut.
Yeah. And this fucking gave us Jamie Lee Curtis as we know her, like iconic scream queen, love of my life, Jamie Lee Curtis. Like
Mhm.
without this, we never would have had Freaky,
Freaky
Friday.
Friday.
Yes. We need Freaky Friday.
We need
Um,
Freaky Friday.
We need Freaky Friday. Like this movie is perfect. And again, I don't think it's that scary.
Yeah,
But
there's like no on-screen blood or gore. Even when he's stabbing his sister, so much of it is like imagined because you see the sister, and then when the stabbing starts, the camera POV like pans away to look at the knife as it's coming up instead. But the suggestion is so powerful.
It's a true work of art. This
Yeah.
movie. Like from start to finish, it's perfect. No nuts.
No. I totally agree with you. I'm glad I've now seen this 5 times. What did I say earlier? Like
Enough for it to like click into place in your brain.
Yeah, because like I don't know, the intensity of the fandom around it was kind of like a wall around it for me. And I just like it was all about Michael and all about that face and all of it. And I just didn't get it. But the movie itself is just something so special. It's kind of a slow burn, man. It's a slow burn. And I love a fucking slow burn. And the details are there and they're so much fun. And it really creates that sense of anxiety. And I love that he's a stunt queen. I really love that he's a stunt queen. I don't know. I just think that, I mean, it's got all the hype in the entire world and it's fucking worth it, once you look at it the right way. And so I don't know if I'm going to give this 5 out of 5, but I'm going to give it a 4.9. I really like this movie. It's not my number one of all time, but I am now intrigued to look at the rest of the franchise in a different way, but maybe not all of it. I don't know. I feel like this one jumps the shark in a different way than other of the big 3 do. Like Michael doesn't go to space. Michael doesn't go under the sea or something. There's no under the sea, I don't think.
There should be H2O. Halloween H2O should be the mermaid Australian TV show spinoff Under the Sea. Let's reboot Halloween
Think
H2O.
Think about it.
And what are their names? Ricky, Emma. I don't know. I didn't really watch that show. I just know the names. Yeah. Chloe. Cleo. There we go. That's it. Thank you.
I have literally no idea what you're talking about. But yeah,
That's
I
okay.
mean, I feel like this franchise takes itself really seriously a lot of the time in a way that the other ones obvi do not. And so I think that also pissed me off because I was like, fucking have a joke, but like I'm there now. I don't know if I'll watch all of them, but I'll certainly watch all of the new franchise that came out starting in 2018 because 2018 one fucking slapped. So thank you, Halloween. And who's gonna introduce next week's episode? Because babies, we're in a new month. We're heading into the beginning of summer almost. I guess it's still spring. It feels like it's getting towards summer though. I don't know.
It's definitely getting towards summer. Time is progressing.
Chelsea, do you want to intro this one? I'm the
Oh.
only one who's seen it.
Sure, but I can introduce it.
Like if you want to do it, go for it.
Yeah, we were researching movies to do a couple weeks ago. We like to kind of space out our choices, like timeline. What's the chronology wise? Kind of leap through the eras, so we're not bundling anything too close together. So I was looking at like mid 2000s or like early aughts, late aughts movies online, and I saw the movie May from 2002. And I was intrigued. It was on a list of like the best movies from that era, and it has Jeremy Sisto and it has Anna Faris. And I know both of those people, and so I was immediately intrigued. I don't know who the star is, but when I looked it up, I realized I had seen the poster. It stars May Dove Kennedy. I don't know, but it seems really interesting. And I have no idea, but I watched the trailer, which is apparently very spoilery. So don't watch the trailer if you haven't seen it yet.
Go in blind. I went in blind when I watched this in high school. So how many years has it been through high school? No one's going to count. I'm not going to let you. So I don't fucking remember much, but I remember my jaw dropping and being like, shit, you know? So hopefully I still have that reaction in a positive way. I think that we will.
There's at least one scene from the trailer that I am very excited to learn more about and get more context for. So I'm looking forward to this episode. And I also it's called May because her name is May. Oh, that's the character's name earlier that I said. Yeah. The actress's name is Angela Bettis, whatever. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's called May for her, not for the month of May. But I thought it would be fun to start off the month of May with the movie May.
It's gonna be May.
There we go. Exactly perfect.
The theme is May. If you haven't gotten that yet. And why not, while we're thinking about, spring and giving life and giving love, rebirth.
Comes back to babies.
This just comes back to, it's always babies, but it comes back to giving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts in the end. Because why not breathe new life into our podcast by giving us a 5-star review? Apparently it's been working the last couple of episodes when I give you the exact words to say in the review. Because almost every time I've done that, we've gotten one. We got a ha 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 ha. We got a Vincent Price is a bisexual icon. That was from Nicholas. Shouts to Nicholas. We love you. But this week, how about this? You have 2 options. You could write believe babies. Okay, 3 options. Believe babies. You can just do hashtag believe babies. You could also write something from the perspective of a new parent who is introducing their child to language with our podcast. So that's something. Forget Coco Melon, listen to Spooky Tuesday. That it could be what you write.
Or you could write a review as a baby.
Ooh, a little role play. Pretend you are a baby. That's really fun. That's really fun. Or something
goo goo gaga.
A little goo goo gaga. Goo goo gaga is a great option. And then here's your last option. Michael Myers stunt queen. That could be also what the whole review says.
He's a stunt queen. He deserves his flowers.
Yeah, so those are some prompts for you. Get to creative writing your 5-star review. Thank you. And why not follow us on social media while you're at it at spooky_Tuesday on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, maybe something else, Tumblr and Facebook. We are at Spooky Tuesday Pod and at Spooky Tuesday on Letterboxd. And we're also on YouTube, and we have one YouTube video, and we might do a second one. And you wanna hear it.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, turn on notifications. Another video could be right around the corner. And thank you for listening.
Don't forget.
Also, before we forget, remember that we have our amazing partnership with Ana Luisa. And so go to our link that's linked in the bio. It is what is it? shop.analuisa.com/spooky Tuesday. Yeah, I didn't even read that. Professional. Thank you for
Incredible.
listening.
Bye, spooky babies.
Baby.
Goo goo gaga.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Height, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamara Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Captain Tamara, and our podcast art is by Mary Murphy, who you can find on Instagram at the_moon_omg.